Call to inspire. Call to inspire. Call to inspire.
Hey y'all! Welcome to our channel, Call to Inspire. This is your girl Trina.
This is LaWanda.
And we are back, y'all, yet again.
Hey! We are so excited to be back here and that you are joining us on our YouTube channel today.
Yes.
So today, guys, you know we are living in this crazy, hectic times right now.
Yes.
We got this COVID-19 pandemic. We got the increase in job loss. We got the increase in violence in our communities. And our current economic and political state is all over the place. We don't know what's going on. Our children are still learning from home. They're in front of these computers all day long. We got parents working from home, juggling multiple jobs. You're a teacher, you're a cafeteria worker, and you're working on your own job. I know it's crazy for me staying home with my two sons and working full-time at home as well. All that right there is problems in itself now. Don't get me wrong, I love, I adore working from home and being here with my sons every day, all day. I love it so much. But if you're like me, your grocery bill skyrocketed 100%. I know mine have. And I know that everybody's working from home. You might think that you're taking care of yourself when in fact you're really not taking care of yourself, even though you're at home all day. If you're like me, you gained that COVID-19 pounds. Listen, it is not cool at all, guys. So today we want to talk about self-care and self-love, part one.
So just to piggyback off of LaWanda, you know, being a working mother, doing all these amazing things that she do on a day-to-day basis, and a lot of you guys that's out there working from home, raising kids, launching businesses, doing everything that you can in the mix of the pandemic. We have people like myself who are also like stressed to the max, working in the healthcare fields. It is crazy right now. The pandemic has took a lot of toll on a lot of us in the healthcare field. We're overworked a lot of the time. You know, we're stressed out. We're trying to maintain things at home with our children and our families. And it's just been so much just watching families and loved ones suffer, not being able to be there with their close loved ones during this time. So I think the pandemic, even for healthcare workers and frontline workers like myself, we have really taken a lot on during this time. And we're trying to just keep, you know, our faith, keep ourselves going, keep ourselves motivated in the mix of a really sad time. And we often are going to, if not already have, neglect ourselves. In the mix of this pandemic, it's very busy. It's a lot of stuff going on, specifically in this field. So we have to be mindful to take that time as a frontline worker in the mix of everything you're doing with saving lives to make sure you're taking care of yourself.
Yes.
It's important.
Super important. So we really want to talk about self-care and self-love. We're going to try to delve into that as much as possible so that you can have an understanding of self-care and self-love, because sometimes people can use them, make it seem like they're the same when it's not. They're actually really different, but they are codependent on each other.
So when we're talking about self-care, we're talking about as it's defined. It's necessary. It's a necessary, deliberated practice of paying attention to your emotional health, your mental health, and your physical health.
Yes.
That's what self-care is, like the defined definition. You want to take care of all those aspects of yourself and really focus in and making sure you're taking care of it and not neglecting those things. When we think about self-love, self-care, I did a devotion a little while back, you guys. As you know, me and LaWanda, we're Christians, we're believers. We take the time to focus in and spend that time with God as much as we can with our day-to-day lives. And I came across the devotional one day, and it talked about self-love, and it dabbled a little bit with self-care as well. And it pointed out to me two important scriptures, which is the greatest commandments of them all. And the first greatest commandment is to love God with all your heart, soul, and strength, and your mind. And then also is to love yourself. To love your neighbor as you love yourself. And what struck me during that devotional time in the mix of the pandemic and everything we're going on is that you cannot be good to anyone else or be in well service to anyone else if you're not taking care of yourself. It's very essential that when you are in the business that I am in the healthcare field, or a working mom, going back to school, getting your degree, that you take care of yourself. And in that moment, in that time of dealing with that, if you're not taking care of yourself first, your service to everyone else is going to lag. It's not going to be sufficient.
Right. And we all know that one of the most important relationships you could have is with yourself.
Yes.
And if you don't have that relationship with yourself, how can you go on to care for other people if you can't take care of yourself? We all know that saying, you cannot pour from an empty cup.
Yes.
So you got to make sure, you got to take that in and really understand how important that is. Because a lot of people, you know, I really loathe the saying when people say, I work 7 days a week, 365 days. You know, I don't sleep. I'm always working. It's you need to sleep. The body needs to rest.
Yes.
How can you recuperate if you don't rest? I mean, God completed everything in 6 days, and on the seventh day He rested. So who are you to not rest? Like you're not God. Like we need to rest. Like it's so important that we take care of ourselves and truly rest.
Yes. And which brings me to the point when we're talking about rest, it goes back into the devotional that I was just referring to when he talks about that self-love, that loving your neighbor as you love yourself. So when we think about that, we look like LaWanda said, you can't pour from an empty, that's a well from that's empty. So you want to make sure that you're building yourself up enough and you have enough in you to be able to pour off and give to others. If you're neglecting yourself in any way, shape, or form, you're not going to be able to function that well in your career, at your job, as a parent, as a wife, in anything that you do, because you're neglecting you first. And that's very, very important. As I did the devotion, it talked about not having a bunch of activities going on. So people think, okay, I'll dive in a little here and there, I'll get something done, I'll do this, I'll do that. But you have to understand that self-care is not focusing on all the many things that you do to preoccupy your time. Oh, I'm busy, so I'm keeping focused. No, it's about taking the time to focus in and relaxing, replenishing your mind, your body, your spirit, your soul, taking that time to reflect, to relax and unwind. It's okay to jump here and do certain things and jump here and do certain things, but you want to be mindful that self-care can involve activities. It's okay. You want to travel, you want to take a trip, you want to go on a vacation, you want to go buy yourself something, that's okay. There's nothing wrong with indulging yourself as long as you're not underindulging your self-care by taking care of your mental, your physical, and your well-being. Also, you want to make sure that you are unplugging sometimes. And what I mean by that, when I did a devotion, you want to unplug sometimes from the outside world. You want to avoid distractions, sometimes social media, sometimes going out as much, and just kind of sit home and settle in and focusing on your thoughts, focusing on some things you haven't had a chance to, taking that time to connect with God. So we're talking about unplugging from the world and connecting into God, which is our source, which gives us our strength, which gives us our knowledge, which gives us our wisdom. And sometimes we got to silence ourselves from the world and step away from that. That's a part of self-care too, and just focusing on that time that you have with God to rebuild yourself back up to keep doing the things that you're doing. So it's very important to make sure that you guys are doing it. Every little distraction is okay, but you want to make time that you focus on doing that too.
I like that part. I like the simple fact of unplugging and just listening. I think a lot of times, for me, I can't say for everybody else, when you're in your devotional state or you're fasting, you're trying to connect to your higher purpose, a lot of the times we have so many distractions like the TV and social media. We're binge watching right now. So unplugging is necessary because we have so much noise going on in our mind. How could you hear the will of God? How could you hear what God is trying to tell you to do or what He's trying to put in you or instill in you if you got so much going on? So unplugging is super important sometimes, and if you're looking and you're waiting to hear from God, you're going to miss it if you're not truly listening, because it's not always going to be a big loud voice. He's going to talk to you in the whisper. So in order to hear that whisper, you got to be really listening.
Yeah, and I also wanted to talk to you guys too about trying to prioritize that self-care, like trying to make it a priority as much as you can. I know it's not as easy. We're raising kids. We have businesses. We have careers. We have things we're trying to attain, goals, school. But you want to set some time aside. So just focusing on making it a priority to take care of you.
Right.
You know, with anything that you do, you want to be the best version of it. You want to be 100% at whatever it is that you're trying to do or whatever you're trying to project in this world. If we're out here ministering or we're out here doing things on behalf of other people, we don't want to do it on 20. We don't want to do it on 30. We want to get full 100%. And sometimes that requires saying, hey, I can't get these kids right now. Hey, I can't go to that party right now. Hey, I can't go over here and do all this. I got to sit down for a little bit. I got to check in with me and make sure I'm good. And never feel wrong, you guys, for ever wanting to take some time to just be at home, relax, chill, not rip and run, because it's very important and essential. You'll burn out. You know, and some people don't want the half version of you. Some people want the best and full version of you, and that requires you to sometimes take some time where, okay, I'm going to work 6 days, but I need to have this 1 day off. Okay, I'm going to do this, but I need to have this. It's very essential because how you take care of yourself reflects your behavior out in the world, in the field, in your career, anything. You want to make sure you're giving the people that you love, that you care for, the best of you.
And it's okay sometimes to not be okay. A lot of people feel some type of way when they're actually in a space where they don't know what to do with themselves when they're not doing anything. It's okay, guys. It's okay to not know what to do right now. It's okay to be in certain seasons, certain spaces in your life right now. It's okay. Everybody has their moment. Take that season, take that moment, and really invest in yourself.
And also, too, wanted to pinpoint something to you guys. Self-care is inward and outward. So when we're talking about the outward appearance for like males, they get their hair cut, they buy a nice suit, you know, they're taking care of the outward experience. Outward appearance. They're dressing nice, got some fly sneakers on, you know, whatever the case may be. You know, they groom themselves, make themselves look good. As far as women, same thing. We get our nails done, our feet done. We'll buy a pocketbook. We'll go to the spa. We'll get a massage. You know, all the external things. We'll dress up. We'll buy a new outfit. External. Good. Self-care. That's amazing. There's nothing wrong with that. But we also want to make sure, too, guys, that we're taking care of ourselves inwardly. Because self-care is just not an outward thing. It's inward, too. I actually think it begins inward. Because how we feel about ourselves, how we think about ourselves, will reflect in how we appear to the outward world. So we want to make sure that we take that time to get that rest, to read the devotionals, to read a book, to relax, to have silent time, quiet time, get away, take a trip by yourself, whatever those things is that you need to do to really focus in on making sure you're good inward. And that even involves like not being around certain people, not being around certain environments, whatever that is for you, something inwardly that you have to deal with yourself to allow you to be in a better place, and that's inside and out. Very, very important, guys.
Guys. Self-care is a part of self-love.
Because
it involves taking care of yourself. So what is self-care? What is self-love? Self-love is basically a state of appreciating yourself. So you are taking care of yourself. You're not neglecting yourself. You're not sacrificing you for anybody else. And what people need to understand and know that is that how you practice self-love. There's like a ton of ways you could do this. But the 3 most important ways, you need to go through each step. You can't skip any step. Like, you have to do self-care because that's a part of self-love. So once you understand that self-care and self-love is 2 different things, and you have to do both of them in order to really fully take care of yourself, you'll be better off.
So when we think of the components of self-care, we think about the different breakdowns. So we talk about spiritual, we talk about mental, we talk about physical, we also talk about psychological. When you're talking from the sense of self-care on a spiritual level, that could be anything of you're going to take some time to just disconnect from the world, disconnect from certain people, place, environment, and do a fast. You may want to go into worship. You may want to spend more time praying and do a meditation, yoga. You may want to, you know, get back more involved in your church and your ministry or your religion or your faith, whatever that is for you. That's more of the spiritual connection. When we're thinking of the physical aspect, that could be anything from going out, taking a walk, working out, anything that helps with your physical appearance, eating better, eating right, anything physically that you want to do for self-care, that helps too, even if it comes down to dressing a certain way or developing your fashion or your style. All that's physical components of self-care. When we think about the mental aspect, we think about things that stimulate our mind. We think about things of reading certain books and listening to certain music, listening to things that allow us to, critically think and challenge our brains and our minds. Anything mentally far as self-care wise, we want to focus in on anything that stimulates the brain, anything that puts the brain and mind at ease. That's self-care. So you could be listening to music, you could be painting, you could be doing anything that allows your mind to just seep in a calm, cool place in order for you to gather your thoughts and reflect. That's very important. Your mental space. Sometimes you have to disconnect from toxic environments, toxic people, toxic places. All that plays a part in your self-care. Certain environments, you don't need to go certain places no more. You don't need to entertain certain people or things, because all that plays a part in your mental. And when your mental is affected, it kind of throws everything else off. And lastly, we talk about the psychological aspect, which is basically we're focusing on the reflection. That's the time that you sit down and you think about life, you reflect about your thoughts, your feelings, your emotions, which is very, very important. People really don't take the time to sit in and reflect on the choices, the decisions, the day-to-day things in life. That's very important, because a lot of that is a part of the decision making. The choices you do, the way you live, the way you handle things, the way you make decisions, it all comes from reflection and taking time to really think and process your thoughts. So it's very important that when we focus on those 4 key components of self-care, it's everything. It's mentally, physically, spiritually, and it's also psychologically as well, and even emotionally.
Yes.
So, yes.
All of that intertwines and comes together, but most importantly, it's all leading back to you, oneself, understanding who you are, really truly identifying with who you are, really loving who you are, truly accepting you, who you are, your flaws and all, because this leads to, it affects every relationship in your life, whether it be relationships with your family, your friends, relationships at work. All of this is affected. So when you come, in order for you to practice self-love or self-care, you have to know what each one of those entails. It's important that you understand the meaning of them, so that you can go ahead and do them correctly. And remember that it looks different for everybody. What you or somebody else do for self-love and self-care doesn't necessarily have to look exactly alike. If you enjoy running, and running clears your mind, it helps you think, then you do that. You're practicing self-love. Whatever you're passionate about, you can do that for self-love and self-care. It's just important that you take time for yourself. It's super, super important that you just take a break. You don't want to overdo yourself. You want to make sure that whatever you're doing for work, or if you're doing for your family, you want to give them 100%. And you cannot give 100% if you're constantly depleted.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely, guys. And for those of you that may be dealing with some type of mental health issues, anything that could be going on that could be affecting that peace in your life, whether it's relationship, whether it's toxic environment, toxic people, work environments become overly stressful. Sometimes you're juggling a lot, school and work and kids and finances, whatever it is, you want to make sure that you are identifying, number one, what is adding to your stress, what's causing those triggers and things to go off to where you're like, I'm neglecting my self-care. Now, granted, there are some things that you do in life that you just have to do. It's life. We have to work. We have to provide for our families. We have to go to school, get education. But there are some things that you can say, I'll get to that later. I'll put that down after I take care of me. I'll come back to that later, because you want to make sure, again, like I said earlier, that you're giving the best of yourself in whatever you do. Because then you'll get the best back out of it. And for those of you who may be dealing with any mental health challenges or illnesses, it's twice as hard sometimes, because there's always a struggle to make sure you're putting yourself first. Sometimes you don't even think that you're neglecting yourself, because you're such a giver, you're such a doer, you're such, doing this and doing that for other people. You tend to neglect, like, hey, I need to be okay too. Those of you that may deal with anxiety or depression or any other mental health issues, it could be an issue sometimes as well, to make sure that you're taking care of yourself for self-care. So make sure you're good in your meds, you're going to the doctors, you're going to therapy, you're seeking that help. And I can't stress it enough, as you see here, God in therapy is what gets me through. It's what gets us through.
Yes.
You know, so if you have to go to therapy and talk to somebody or whatever it is, do it.
Yes.
You know, we want to make sure that you are you, you're whole, you're okay, so you can give the best of you to the world and for everybody.
Yes.
You know, we can't stress it enough. We're called to inspire you guys, but also make sure that you are taking care of yourself to be able to inspire and motivate
Yes.
others too.
Yes.
What you don't do for yourself, you cannot do for anybody else.
Yes. It's very important, guys, and we really do love this topic so much that we want to do a part 2. We're going to finish this discussion on how you can really take care of yourself through self-love and self-care.
Yes.
We hope that you join us for part 2 because we still have so much information that we want to give to you, because we want to make sure that you're giving the best of yourself and that you're taking care of you first.
Yes, so for you guys that are new to our channel, please make sure, I'll drop the link below, that you follow us on our Instagram page, call2_inspire on Instagram. Make sure you follow us. Feel free to email us. We have an email address. Anything you want to ask us, any questions, any ideas for topics, go ahead and email us at call2inspireus@gmail.com. So we're here. We're around. We have more footage coming to you guys. We have a part 2 coming. You know, we're getting back into the groove of things. We want to invite you guys into everything that we're doing. We're here to help you.
We want to invite you to our personal space.
Yes.
So no topic is offhand. So whatever it is that you want us to discuss, whatever questions, we want to be there for you.
Yes. So, and remember, you guys, peace of mind is priority. Mental health is priority.
Yes.
Make sure you love on you. You take care of you, because self-care is very, very essential.
Yes.
Okay. So,
see ya.
See y'all.
Hey everyone, thanks for watching. Here we have a self-care chart. It just breaks down the different categories. It talks about lifestyle, spiritual, social people, mental, emotional, and physical. Just giving you some examples under each category. Just take a look over it, get some insight on it. And again, you guys, we can't stress the importance of self-care. Thank you so much for watching. And just to leave on a good positive note, we just want to say that self-care is essential. It is important to your happiness and your well-being. The world needs the best version of you, and that requires you to love on yourself and to take care of you. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure you like, subscribe, and comment.